Hello, everyone. This is Micah from edeneyetarot, of course. I am here today to talk to you a little bit about the upcoming new moon solar eclipse in Taurus. I'm really excited for this eclipse, and I was trying to figure out what to do for this video because I've covered quite a few of the placements that are really prominent in this eclipse already in previous videos. If you are coming from the Mystical Illuminations channel, then you might not have seen some of these videos, but for those of you that are joining me on my channel, you have seen these videos where I've talked about some of the main planets, main aspects that are playing a big part in the eclipses in general, but with this eclipse in particular. And so to kind of try and avoid sounding like a broken record, I'm just going to do a brief kind of overview of what I think of this eclipse. And then we're going to get into the tarot for each of the 12 signs. I think that's what I'm going to do for Taurus season in general, is to just kind of focus on the eclipses since those are taking place in Taurus season. I did think about just doing a complete, Taurus season overview. However, since the eclipses are happening, it's kind of that is Taurus season. And so I'm just going to opt for that. So let's take a look at this eclipse. So I have the chart for the eclipse pulled up here. So the eclipse is at a 10, which I attribute personally, the way that I read degrees, I attribute it on one end to Capricorn, of course, being the 10th sign, but also I think this is also going to be more of an Aquarius degree. And so I kind of take both ways of reading degrees into consideration when looking at the energy. Being with this in Taurus, let's talk about this eclipse being in Taurus. So when we're talking about Taurus, we're talking about we're talking about security. We're talking about money, resources, work. We're talking about accumulation of energy. So with Taurus, because it is a fixed sign, we're looking at it kind of carrying on what we started. If you started something new in Aries season, or if you started a new venture, if you started, changing, maybe how you look, or, you started changing maybe what you value, because that's a big thing with Taurus as well. In Taurus season, we can see accumulation and building some speed with those things that you started in Aries season. And so it's really kind of putting the pedal to the metal when we're talking about Taurus as a sign. It's saying there is a certain level of commitment. Remember that Taurus in the tarot is the Hierophant. And so it's all about commitment and, looking at things in the long term. Taurus is an earth sign, and so it's slow growth. And so I imagine the Seven of Pentacles, when I think about Taurus energy, it's about waiting for, the fruits of your labor to show up, and just kind of really being focused on the work that it takes in the, that more foundational kind of perspective to be taken when we're talking about an eclipse in Taurus. New moons are a time where, those seeds are being planted. And I love the fact that this new moon eclipse is in Taurus, because of that slow energy of Taurus. And Taurus is fertility as well. And so it's having a eclipse in Taurus, especially a new moon, where we're seeing with a new moon in general, we're seeing it being as a time where things are a bit unknown, unseen. There's a little bit of mystery there, but we're planting the seeds in hopes of something, growing and being harvested for later. And with Taurus being such a fertile sign, it kind of just amps it up. It really creates a beautiful environment for those things to grow. When the sun and moon come in, of course, with that new moon, that's how you get a new moon, is you have the sun and moon together. It really kind of brings together the unconscious mind and the conscious mind. And so conscious mind and unconscious mind are kind of getting together when we talk about values, when we talk about what we're working towards, when we talk about, how do we value ourselves? How do we value other people? What do we value in general? What kind of money and resources are we bringing in? What are we spending as well can be a big thing. We will be in Mercury retrograde shadow during this eclipse. And so I can only see with Taurus, at this time, Mercury will have just gotten into Gemini, but it will be getting ready to retrograde back into Taurus. And I talked about this a little bit in my Mercury and Taurus video. But I can only imagine during the next 6 months, eclipses take about 6 months to play out completely. But we'll see a lot of people like rebudgeting or revisiting the resources that they have, kind of taking stock and inventory when it does come to like their dreams for the future and what they want to build. We can't forget that Uranus is also joining the sun and moon as well, really shaking things up, bringing in themes of like community. We could see like a lot of people coming together to kind of shake things up, either on their own or bring other people in that kind of shake things up and bring in a little bit of extra excitement or spice that can really help us open up our minds and eyes to a different way of structuring things, or a different pattern, or just completely throwing out pattern and really breaking through, because we are doing something different and we're bringing new people into our lives that have a new brilliant perspective. With that being said, Taurus itself, I love that it's in Taurus, because Taurus is very grounded. It's not a sign that is really about shaking things up. But when we see Uranus in Taurus with that new moon eclipse, and a new moon eclipse is, of course, about big change anyway. We can see big changes when it does come to income. We can see big changes when it comes to like what we value and what we deem as beautiful, especially when it does come to different communities and other people. I think this is like really has a great potential to be harmonious if you're trying to kind of like, start new relationships or kind of like smooth things over. I personally think that this is a really nice eclipse to kind of like focus on that, as long as you are also really focusing on how you value yourself and what do you value. I think that'll really help to bring other people into your life that value the same thing. I think that's something that we can really see happening during this eclipse. Whenever we're looking at any kind of lunation, we want to look at where the ruler of that actual lunation is. And so it's Taurus. And so it's going to be Venus that we're looking at. Venus is in Pisces, and it's at the 27th degree in Pisces nonetheless. And this is also an Aquarius degree. And Jupiter is smack dab on top of Venus as well. So we have the two benefics in the sign of Pisces, which is super sweet. I talked about this a little bit when I did talk about Venus and Pisces, that we could see like maybe more people getting into either very sweet things, being just very sweet in general, upping their sugar intake can be a big thing. Taurus loves things that, are taste very rich and, luxurious. And so we could see like maybe people like, spending extra money or investing, making more like bigger investments and things. I think that's great as long as these are smart investments and you're really sticking with what you're investing in and not like veering off the path. I think this could be a really great time to, start planting that initial seed. Not on the eclipse as a general rule. I think with eclipses, because especially in eclipse season, things can get shaken up a lot. I think, wait some time like after the eclipses are done so that you kind of can get a good perspective of, the work that needs to be done, what you need to let go of, because of course we will have that lunar eclipse in Scorpio that's coming 2 weeks after. And so personally, I will be waiting at probably a good month before I start anything new on the eclipses. But I'm also a big advocate for do what you want, because at the end of the day, I can't tell you what to do. I'm just here as a messenger. But I love that Venus and Jupiter are in Pisces, and they're in a degree that's representing hopes and dreams. I think this could be a great manifestation time for really setting the stage for making dreams real, for being creative. Taurus is all about the arts, being more creative, setting those like times to really get into like affirmations, because Taurus rules the throat chakra, speaking your truth. It's a beautiful energy for being authentic, but also like feeding into that whole like self-care time, whether it be through sleep, because I could see that happening a lot. Maybe people, you know, investing in like new like bedding or like new furniture, new art, or things like that. But one of the things I've been really, you know, getting into more lately is because Pisces is ruled by Neptune, is not just simply doing affirmations like through like just like sentence affirmations, but like actually doing affirmations when it comes to like through music. Like, so really being, very cognizant of the words that you speak, but also being very cognizant of the music that you're listening to. And I thought it was so interesting. I had this thought today while I was on a walk. Why is it that a lot of like the, I guess, like more empowering songs that we have, I don't know if it's like this in every genre, but I assume so, because music is music in this day and age. But like, why is it that a lot of the empowering kind of songs that we have out, or like the majority, have to do with like our value when we're like in the perspective of other people? So we'll hear like lots of songs that are like of, you know, a musician singing about like how they're so great because they just broke up with an ex that thought that they were shit, like, or, you know, they were left for someone else. And all of these, while I think that they're extremely catchy, I do wonder how damaging that is. And so I want to encourage you definitely to be very cognizant of the music and art that you're absorbing. Pisces is like a psychic little sponge. And when it's in Taurus, it's literally like the water that you're watering your own body, being, garden, with, and you want to make sure that that's not polluted by certain things, even if something seems like it's being helpful, because Neptune can be about like diluted perception. And I think that could be like something that maybe can be the case like when we see these kinds of eclipses come up, is, you know, really taking a longer look at the quality of what we're being presented, what we're being sold, what we're being given, especially when it does come to food. You know, taking that extra time, I think, could really be very beneficial when we talk about this eclipse in Taurus, to really look at what you're absorbing, whether it be through actual food or spiritually as well. So I think that is about the gist of everything that I wanted to share for the eclipse. It was a bit of a shorter overview. And so I am going to now start the I'm going to now start the tarot readings for the 12 signs. And so I have my notes here, so I'm just kind of keeping track. So Aries, Venus is, of course, the ruler of this upcoming eclipse in Taurus. I'll have another video that is talking about the lunar eclipse in Scorpio when we get closer to that date. But we have the ruler Venus and Pisces in your 12th house. And then the eclipses are going to be in your 2nd and 8th house. So Aries, what am I seeing for you? So 2nd and 8th house are all going to be about like self-esteem. What do you value? What are you buying? What are you selling? Or what are you buying? And what are you kind of bringing in as far as like income? It's money spent, money gained. It can be about food as well, and, you know, what other people think of you. When it's in the 12th house, you can see some people really fall away from you. But I also see this as maybe you getting more art, you know, more into like the more mystical side, or getting more creative when it comes to making money, or creating funds for yourself. I could also see like maybe like some laziness happening. Maybe you need some extra sleep, but make sure that, of course, all of that is being balanced. When we have the second house coming in, the second and eighth house coming in, there can be some karmic debts that need to be paid off, that need to kind of be, we could talk about karmic debts, but we could also see it as being more about actual debts as well. So I would wonder, Aries, if you're calling in some sort of, and you're calling in some sort of debt that you need to be repaid for, but also like maybe letting those things go, letting things die off so that you can have that new start. And I love this card for you, Aries. We have the 10 of Pentacles. So you're getting paid, Aries. The 10 of Pentacles is, of course, all about the long-term effects of the work that you're doing now. Second house can really be about like what you value. It can be a place where things can be moving a little slow. So if you're feeling some delays, Aries, I really want to encourage you to remember that it's about quality, not quantity. And even if you feel like you're kind of like trudging through the mud here, what you're doing to up your income, to up your value is making a difference, and it's going to pay off. You just have to be patient. And so that is what I see for you, Aries, as well. I could probably also see like maybe like some really nice, sexy time. I mean, we can think of like the houses being like Taurus and Scorpio's energy, of course, and that's where the eclipses are falling. But the 12th house can be about like, paying attention to dreams, or, maybe making money off of like dream interpretation, or getting more, finding more value and taking time for yourself, taking time for it to be like a little bit more secluded and away from everybody else, and taking time to really nurture yourself. Rather than just kind of giving out energy to other people. Book a hotel like away from all the people, Aries, like treat yourself. But I could really see that, especially with Venus and Pisces, it can be like, very romantic, whether you have a partner or not. I say if you're single, go and like book a hotel. I used to do this like all the time when I lived in Chicago. I used to like just book hotels, like if just because I needed like a change of scenery. It really helps because it kind of like takes you out of your everyday kind of like a routine, and it can be like a little staycation. There can be like, especially when you do have that second, eighth house being activated with the 12th house, the ruler being in the 12th house as well. You might be feeling like you need to find new ways to make money, or you feel like, maybe like you don't have enough support. But I do want to encourage you that what you're doing is being heard, of course, by spirit, and they're answering your prayers. You just gotta be patient. You just gotta keep going. Okay. So Taurus, this eclipse is, of course, in your first and seventh house, the house of identity, as well as one-on-one relationships. So you could be seeing like new partnerships coming in, but old partnerships falling away as well with those eclipses. The ruler, Venus and Pisces, is going to be in your 11th house. So this could be in regards to friendships kind of falling out and new ones coming in. A special emphasis on new ones coming in. The 11th house is also about allies and, achievements, what we dream about. So Taurus, I think if you are finding that you're, having to let go of some relationships and friendships, that this is all to kind of like boost you more towards either communities that will accept you and value you the way that you deserve to be valued, or it's pushing you towards your goal. We have the 8 of Swords for you, Taurus. So I really want to encourage you to make sure you're not getting in your head. There's a lot of change going on. There's a lot of, the 8 of Swords is about feeling stuck. And I feel like this could be more so with you, Taurus, about like possibly you being afraid to make a change or make to take a risk. I can tell you, I feel you as someone that has their moon in Taurus. I totally feel you on that, but don't really watch like, again, like what you're feeding into, what kind of art, what kind of, words you're speaking over yourself, what kind of words other people are speaking over you. You have the control here. But you have to be willing to actually like take the keys, because sometimes we're our own jailer, and our own prisoner. That's what this whole card is about. It can be about just being way too much in your head instead of just doing it. It can cause delays, but you are, the only one stopping you from moving forward. And so don't get in your own way. If, like I said, if that friendship is needing to go, let it go. It's fine. If you get an opportunity, maybe to work with a friend, I definitely say take that opportunity. It could really push you into a situation where you get to work with others and create new allies and really find a new way of like achieving the dream that you would like to achieve. With more people comes more success. I think with that Eight of Swords being the case, it can be like, you don't have to put all of that on your shoulders when we're talking about this eclipse. So you don't have to shoulder it all, Taurus. Ask for help. Gemini rising, Gemini moon. I don't think I've been saying that, but we will go ahead to Gemini. So Gemini, you have a Venus in Pisces, the ruler of this eclipse in your 10th house, but the eclipses themselves are between the 12th and the 6th. So with the eclipses in the 12th and the 6th, we can see like some changes happening when it does come to like maybe letting go of a work situation, especially since the ruler is in your 10th house of career, reputation, public matters. So letting go of maybe like a workspace or things that are unhealthy. You're really focusing on maybe how you appear to the world. So this could be physical, but it could also be just kind of cutting out things that make you miserable, and you're more in favor of taking the risk, and being more creative and getting into a space of more balance. The 6th house and the 12th are all about like mind, spirit, body, health, and of course that 10th house can be about like how you show up. And I think a lot of balance is happening there, as well, as far as like new things coming in when we're talking about new inspiration, new routines, maybe new workout regimens can be happening with between the 12th and 6th, maybe talking with a therapist, maybe talking with, and kind of like to help facilitate that release. We get the 4 of Wands for you, Gemini. The 4 of Wands is a card that is really all about like loving yourself. Literally, it's the Venus and Aries card. And so we can see with the 4 of Wands, maybe you're going to, possibly somebody's getting married. It could be celebrations for like short-term goals, making those little milestones. Remember that when you are going after goals, it's not always about win-lose. It can be more so about you're not aiming for perfection. And that's really what I want to also stress, like, because that 6th house can sometimes be about perfection. Remember, Gemini, you're not aiming for perfection, you're aiming for progress. And I think that could be really important for you not to rob yourself of like some of the joys of making those smaller milestones that ultimately add up to big achievements with this eclipse. In particular, the 4 of Wands can also be about maybe you starting new or taking on a new perspective when it does come to what you value, taking more time to take care of yourself rather than to always be of service to other people, taking time away, a lot like Aries almost, but I can definitely see that for you, Gemini. Cancer rising. We have the eclipses in the 11th and 5th house. The 11th house is the house of hopes, dreams, wishes, friends, and communities. 5th house is all about self-expression, children, as well as like what you do in like your free time. So it can be like hobbies as well. And we have Venus in Pisces in your 9th, which is like all about belief, maybe traveling. It can be about like legal matters as well. So when we have those eclipses going between your 11th and 5th. It can be, really talking about gaining new friendships. But also, I really want you to remember that just because community is important, and it is, you are also important. So don't like lose yourself in what other people are saying. You have to you have to really concentrate also on like what are your own beliefs. Be open to experiencing new communities, new ways of thinking. This could really introduce you maybe to more study. Maybe you get into like more group classes. As far as like higher education, or you're traveling with friends, you're doing more activities that are a bit more fun and remote could also be a way that we could see that. I love that we were talking about fun just a second ago, because we have the Six of Cups, which is all about simplicity. It's about not getting stuck to the past. It's about, moving forward at best, but in a way that, we have simplicity. This new moon solar eclipse is really bringing in new solid friendships, new solid ideas. You're really working towards a lot of goals, Cancer, and I think those are definitely going to pay off. And it's kind of like maybe something that you've wanted for a long time. With this card coming up, you could see like new friends or old friends coming back in as well. Pisces, the ruler of this eclipse, is a fellow water sign, so maybe you could see like some friends that maybe have fallen off, or just kind of fell off the face of the earth coming back in as well. But the Six of Cups is saying, it's almost like that want of wanting things to be a bit more simple, almost like having that childlike spirit and heart. So it can really be a card that's talking about being willing to open up, being willing to be vulnerable, almost like a child. And when we do that, we become very accepting of what all the universe has to offer. And so that is for you, Cancer, Leo, and Leo rising, Leo moon. We have this eclipse in your 10th house, and then the lunar eclipse will be in your 4th house. And so we will have the main thing will be happening in your 10th house of career and public reputation and public matters. And so then that means that Venus in Pisces is going to be in the 8th. This can be a transformation of how you're being viewed, a transformation of ambitions and achievements. Maybe some of you are changing careers. Maybe some of you are completely ending like certain jobs, or just transforming your like aesthetics and look. Getting very creative with how you make money, how you achieve certain dreams. We have the Five of Swords. Sorry, I like space there for a second. So this energy is squaring your energy, Leo. But I want to say to you, just because it feels like things are really dying off right now, do not be fooled. The 8th house is about transformation, and I really want to urge you, if things are kind of like dying away right now, it is meant to be. It's all kind of clearing the space for you to be able to transform that ending into a rebirth, and revamping that energy and transmuting it. The Five of Swords can be about looking past defeat and moving on, getting organized, and not staying in your feelings. It is really a card that's saying, if you lose something, it's okay. You just have to go on to the next thing. It's literally like an air versus water kind of card. It's saying you just kind of have to walk away from things that are not meant for you and move on to better things that are in the grand scheme of things. So Leo, that is your card. Remember that is clearing the way for you to plant new seeds. When it does come to career, we can see for Virgo rising, we have the eclipse in the new moon eclipse in Taurus in your 9th house, and then the eclipse in Scorpio in your 3rd. So lots of new learning opportunities, possibly new travel opportunities with a partner, or we could see like you getting together like one-on-one and learning from people, maybe taking like online class and not online classes, classes with like a tutor or like maybe apprenticeship or, studying with a guru that come in when we're talking about Virgo. Or these eclipses for you, it's all about like what are you building, especially when it does come to like investing in your education. Maybe some of you are continuing education. I love that. We have the Six of Swords. It is kind of like being in limbo, Virgo. But I think this is more about like a time where you're just needing to be alone, to have that time to study, to have that time to reflect, to have that time to think. So when we have the Six of Swords coming in with all of that that's going on in your ninth, and your third, and your seventh, it can be about maybe, a time where you're really having to ask yourself if you are committed to the way that you're, kind of viewing or your your perspective. Do you still hold the same value when it does come to what you're learning? Do you want to take on extra classes? Do you want to, maybe move to a new place that inspires you more? I think it's more about the relationship that you have with others when it does come to with others when it does come to education. The ninth house can also be about marriage. And I think that's really sweet when we think of like the seventh house also being associated with like legal matters of marriage as well. So maybe some of you are, traveling to get married. Maybe some of you are having to travel like a long way. The Six of Swords can also be about like literal travel rather than, mental, like the mental kind of like traveling and like kind of like needing to reflect on things and think about things, taking time away. So some of you could be traveling for some sort of legal engagement or really taking that time that you need to kind of get re-inspired, to rejuvenate and almost like rejuvenate yourself spiritually and reconnect with yourself. So Libra rising, Libra moon. We have these eclipses in your eighth house is the Taurus eclipse, and the second house is going to be activated by the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So again, we have birth and our death and rebirth when we're talking about this upcoming solar eclipse. The eighth house can be, of course, about death, but it can also be about our partner's finances and what's going on with work. Especially because the Venus in Pisces is in the sixth. So maybe some of you have partners that are going through some changes when it does come to their work environment, when it's coming to their health. I like that Venus is in Pisces when we're talking about the sixth house, because it kind of loosens things up. Things aren't as like strict, but it opens up the ability to be more creative, I think, when it does come to like getting everything done. I think it really adds to that. It kind of adds to like, so we were talking about shaping things up. Venus in Pisces, I think it does a beautiful job when it's in the sixth house of like not sweating the small details. I mean, and if we are talking about like partners, embodying this energy, because the eighth house can be about our partner's finances. And with the ruler being, with the ruler of this eclipse being in the sixth house, it can be, really asking you to kind of let go of certain fears when it does come to maybe making money or income or resources. Don't worry about like, it can be a time where maybe you're feeling like you don't have enough support or enough of something like with others, or you're feeling like you're just really not getting the recognition that you feel that you should have when it comes to helping others or being of service to others. you feel like maybe you feel like you're alone when you were talking about partners. Maybe your partner is feeling like that, or maybe things are just really amping up as far as like your routine, and you're getting busier, and you just kind of like need that time by yourself. Ironically, we also have the Six of Swords again for you, Libra. So I see this more as where with Virgo, I saw this more as like maybe traveling more than anything. I think for you, this actually is a time where things are a bit more, where you're a bit more secluded because you're busy. And you need time to just kind of like get down the um, to the more intense aspects of work. The sixth house can be about physical health. And so I would also wonder like if some of you need to go to like the doctor because of like maybe high blood pressure. Aquarius is, this is the Mercury in Aquarius card. And Aquarius is of course the circulatory system in medical astrology. And so I'm wondering if like there might be some issues with blood pressure or the circulatory system happening. Of course, that's not for all of you, but it's like something that just kind of crossed my mind. So I did want to voice it. But with the sixth and eighth, what they kind of have in common is like maybe some fears that are maybe taking hold in the physical aspect of our health. And so I really want to encourage you, Libra, if you're under a lot of stress, maybe find some ways to kind of like let go, to release, to kind of like kill some things off that, or like prioritize and kind of kill off tasks that maybe don't need to be done right now. It can really be speaking to a time where you're seeing a lot of changes when it does come to how you're organizing your day, because maybe you're trying to take some stress off of you as well. And so you're not able to be there maybe for certain people, and you have to say no, which I think could be very positive with all these things. It's really freeing you up to, again, really bring all that Venus energy back to you. It can be like, communicating with friends from a distance rather than always having to physically show up or, exert that extra energy to show up in a way that might not, be the healthiest for you at the time. So Scorpio rising, this eclipse in Taurus is going to be in your seventh house of partnerships. Your eclipse is, of course, going to be in the house of identity. Venus in Pisces is going to be in your fifth house. So I see lots of dating in your future. Maybe some of you are getting up to some sexy bed pleasures. Trying, some new creative outlets as well can be a thing. Seventh house is all about like partnerships and one-on-one relationships, but the fifth house is about like our expression. It can be about children. Maybe some of you are, spending extra time. If you do have children, maybe some of you are spending some extra time with children. Maybe when it does come to your partnerships, this is a time where you guys are really getting vulnerable and kind of like spiritually and, physically naked with each other. And you are, really building into that relationship. Being, completely honest is the best way to, of course, build that vulnerability, to build fun, to heat things up in the bedroom, so to speak. So we have the Six of Pentacles for you, Scorpio, which is the Moon and Taurus card. It's grounded. This card is really grounded. It's a card that I interpret as really saying you get what you get out of the situation or a relationship, as far as if it's work or if it is like a relationship, like as far as like with a romantic partner or like a friendship, is what you get out of it. And so if you're willing to be vulnerable, open up and be yourself, you will get that in return. And so that's what I get for you, Scorpio. But I also think this is also like the opposite as well, because I don't want to miss that the Six of Pentacles can also be like, knowing your worth and really being very true to that and authentic to that. And so it can also be like, you may be cutting out a certain relationship because maybe it's giving you on the surface what you want, but on the inside you're just kind of miserable, and you're finally kind of saying that's enough with this card. So Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius moon. Pisces, Venus in Pisces is in your fourth house, and the eclipse in Taurus is in your sixth. Putting that eclipse in Scorpio in your 12th. So a lot going on in the house, like is what I'm getting, or maybe there are some issues with family health, or what I really see a lot of is there's some things that are going on in the home situation. Maybe some of you are getting ready to kind of clean house to be able to move. Some of you are reorganizing your house, really kind of like maybe doing some deep cleaning. But this can also be just like cleaning, not just for like your physical space, but also that mental space as well. There can be kind of like chaos when we're talking about eclipses all the time. And I think you're really, striving for that groundedness by kind of clearing out or like breaking away from certain relationships, unhealthy habits or attachments to certain things, so that you're able to find a bit more stability all around, like we said, like mind, body, and spirit. You're releasing a lot of things when maybe it does come to like family trauma, or generational curses can really be a thing. As well, digging into heritage and roots can be, or just kind of like researching into that. Maybe you're spending more time with pets. Fourth house is like is about family. It can also be about like your fur babies with the sixth house. Yeah, and so we can see the Page of Cups comes up. So this is like a really sweet card. I love this card. It's all about diving into new intuitive gifts. It's about diving into like the softer part of yourself, being more open with others, with your feelings, not just maybe like just being like the workhorse, but also, being willing to maybe um, work through maybe things that you've been hiding from others. I keep thinking like, more so like getting back to cleaning house. That just keeps coming up for me. And I'm trying to think with the Page of Cups. Help me out here, guys. So what I'm seeing with the Page of Cups is literally like it's almost like starting over. This could be like inner child work is happening, but I'm literally seeing like the page like dumping out all the water onto a surface so that it's cleansed, so that things are kind of purified when we're talking about like fourth, sixth house matters. The sixth house is not just our routine, it's our work environment. It is like health, but also it can be like how we're being of service to others. Maybe a lot of you are helping to heal not just family, but other people, like friends that, maybe stand in as family. And that is helping you kind of like heal your own roots as well. It's like kind of like communal like healing. But I think you could also be doing this maybe through like actually doing things like painting, since the Page of Cups is very creative. Some of you could be also doing this like just not just healing like the inner child and maybe childhood stuff, but also this could be maybe you know when it does come to like actual children, because pages represent children, spending more time with children, learning from children. It could be like children are of service to us in a way that's more spiritually. Essentially, maybe some of you are finding children become like your gurus in a way, because children are so tapped in to spiritual energy and just kind of insight as well. Capricorn rising. Venus and Pisces is in your third house of communication, technology, travel. We can also see like education as well as like divination and prayer. Um, Eclipses are going to be that first Taurus eclipse is going to be in your fifth house. Scorpio eclipse is going to be in your 11th. So for this new moon Taurus eclipse, I could see maybe committing to habits or investing in certain habits to maybe see if it can really take off. But with that Venus and Pisces, maybe you're getting into like creative writing. Maybe you're taking trips that can really help you learn more about a hobby that you're interested in investing. And so your investment is more so geared towards like education about that hobby, or maybe you're taking time to, really open up and let others know about you as a person, because we can't forget that the fifth house is about like self-expression and creativity. And so it can be, learning from others, being willing to exchange that information when it does come to like, making friends with other artists or making friends in general, and, finding and really valuing our friends and our circles that we're in. It could be also about siblings, childhood siblings that can really be, experiencing new achievements as well. The Knight of Wands came up. So the Knight of Wands is all about haste. So I'm thinking like this is, more so about travel, but it can be about, just, being so passionate about something that you're just like, I got to do it right now. With the Knight of Wands, I will say this: it's a lot of passion. It's a lot of going after, what you want. It's a card that's really talking about, it's all or almost like all or nothing. What I will say though is the danger with the Knight of Wands. It can be like moving too fast, like from thing to thing. There can be some impulse buying. Or like, maybe you have to make certain travel plans, and you have to like make it, take an action right then and there. But I would say that there needs to be some organization. When we talk about third house, we are kind of talking about Mercury's energy. And so needing to organize and prioritize can really be helpful, so that you're not, spreading yourself too thin, and you're still able to have fun and kind of preserve that more playful energy, because the third and the fifth house are really playful, and I think that's definitely where the Knight of Wands is coming in, is with that playful energy. But you want to really guard against being everywhere at once is not possible. And sometimes it's necessary to slow down and just kind of put that creative energy more on an internal level, and just kind of have like almost like a slow burn when it comes to being creative and indulging in those pursuits that you undoubtedly will have. Aquarius and Aquarius rising, you have eclipses. The first eclipse is going to be in your fourth house of family, domestic, and private matters. And then Venus and Pisces is going to be in your second house of income. So I can see maybe some of you are looking to buy a new space, buy a new home. Maybe some of you are, kind of are still like in between on figuring out what you want to do as far as moving, or creating income when it does come to like, how are you going to pay for a new space? How are you going to pay for something in the home? Maybe it's also like expanding family. I love this card. We have the 10 of Cups. The 10 of Cups is Mars and Pisces card, which I love because Mars actually is in Pisces at this time. And so Mars and Pisces is all about pursuing your dreams, going like balls to the wall. Don't be afraid to be delusional when we have Mars and Pisces. But it also says don't let other people influence you. What you want to go after it. Go fearlessly, without fear. It is a card that says that those pursuing your dreams pays off. But you have to really stay true to you. Because a lot of times with Mars and Pisces, other people can influence your ambitions and your drives. And you really want to stay true to like what is you, and recognize what isn't, because that's what really makes this card very special. Because it's not saying that you don't value what other people see as valuable, but you keep your values first and your dreams first, and that's what you have your eye on. It's kind of like, you know, the North Star of the tarot. Pisces, and Pisces rising, Pisces moon. Venus in Pisces is, of course, in your first house. Love it. You're coming off a bit more attractive, a bit sweeter. When we're talking about the ruler of the Taurus eclipse being in your first, it can be a time where we're seeing a lot of maybe a lot of creative energy coming in, a lot of new things growing for you. The eclipse in Taurus is going to be in your third, and then of course the eclipse in Scorpio is going to be in your ninth. For the Taurus eclipse, we're seeing all that play out in the third house of like siblings, education, you know, and travel, as well as communication. So I could see this as dreams or like certain goals or accomplishments become real because of how you present yourself to other people and the communication that you're able to kind of give. I think this would also be like being a lot more persuasive, and that's kind of how you get things done during this time, but a lot more opportunities to network and to meet people that can really help you create the dream and make it real. So we have, with this Pisces, we have the Three of Swords. So I think with this being said, Pisces, a lot of times you do wear your heart on your sleeve. And a lot of times you can have like those rose-colored glasses on, right? And Venus being in your first house is literally like rose-colored glasses, like on how you view the world. But the third house is all about communication, and to an extent, it is Gemini's energy. When the Taurus eclipse is in the third house, it can really shut some things down as far as communication, or shut some things down as far as like investments or values and resources. And I think you're really seeing almost like, I think it was Scorpio or Leo. I think it was Leo, where it's really saying almost the same thing as the three of Swords is a card that's talking about heartbreak. That's talking about things kind of being cut away, and maybe there is some sort of reevaluation that needs to go on, or like there's some new news that is happening. This can be about like certain relationships being cut off. It is the Saturn and Libra card, or some sort of relationships being kind of like in a limbo kind of state and needing to be reevaluated to see if they're, you know, if equal reciprocity is being given as far as like what energy is going in, what's being put in, what kind of resources and time and values are being put into the relationship. With friends, or like, you know, if communication is being given both ways. But with that with the Three of Swords, it can also be, you know, yes, there might be an L that is taken. However, whatever is being cut away is being cut away because so that you can, it's basically, it's information you don't want to hear, but you need to hear. It's the truth. Because the only way you're going to end up getting out of that limbo is by absolutely having the bullshit kind of cut. And this is what we're really seeing in the Three of Swords. Essentially, reality is really, it's kind of like a reality check that is much needed and is really pushing you towards the truth, and really understanding and being able to have that truth and have that groundedness that comes with the truth, even if it is painful, is able to really push you towards push you on the right track in a more realistic perspective. But with that being said, that is my reading and kind of like synopsis for the upcoming eclipse in Taurus. If you enjoyed how I read and my little synopsis, it's usually I have longer videos, but I figured why not shake it up right, for this eclipse in Taurus, and do a little bit of a shorter video than I usually would. I would have like all the notes and everything, and I'm just kind of going on the fly here. And so, why not shake it up? 'Tis the season, right? So I'll be back on like around the second eclipse with a video kind of focusing in on that in the tarot cards for that eclipse for all 12 signs as well. But if you enjoyed how I read and you would like to book a reading with me, you can check the links down below. Follow me on all my social media. Go ahead and give that like button a click and subscribe as well. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.